What's up guys, so the next core set coming out in the TCG is Burst of Destiny. Now for those of us in Europe, that's going to be releasing on November 4th, which is quite awesome. That's literally 2 to 3 weeks from now, and there's a lot of really good archetypes and cards that you guys need to watch out for. So I'm going to talk about 5 cards that you guys definitely want to pick up in the next set. To start off with, we have Ecclesia, the Virtuous of White. Now before I get into this specific card, the entire Sword Soul archetype is going to be really awesome, and so you want to pick that up. Obviously I didn't feel like putting every single Sword Soul card on this list, so you just need to keep that in mind. But the reason why I'm talking about Ecclesia Virtuous of White is because it supports the Sword Soul archetype, but it also supports the Albaz archetype as well. So its effect reads, if your opponent controls more monsters than you do, you can special summon this card from your hand. You can only special summon this card once per turn. You can only use each effect once per turn. During the main phase, as a quick effect, you can tribute this card, special summon one Sword Soul monster or one Fallen of Albaz from your hand or deck. During the end phase, if a fusion monster is sent to your graveyard this turn, you can add this card from your graveyard to your hand. So Ecclesia the Virtuous in White is a really cool card. It's going to set up your Albaz from deck by tutoring it out, but then it can also summon your Sword Soul monsters, and as I said, Sword Soul is going to be a really good archetype, so this is going to be a definite 3-of in that deck. This card also has really strong synergy with Destroy Hero Phoenix Enforcer, which I'm going to talk about later in this video. When a fusion monster is sent to your grave, this adds back to the hand, and Phoenix Enforcer obviously is going to be moving from the field to the graveyard often via its own effect, making this card even more recursive. You guys definitely want to have a copy of this card when it comes out. Now this nicely leads into our next card, which is going to be Destiny Hero Destroy Phoenix Enforcer. So this card's effect reads, monsters your opponent controls lose 200 attack for each hero card in your graveyard. You can only use each of the following effects of Destiny Hero Destroy Phoenix Enforcer once per turn. You can destroy one card you control and one card on the field as a quick effect. If this card is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can activate this effect. Special summon one Destiny Hero monster from your graveyard during your next standby phase. So ever since this card landed in the OCG, it's been incredible and fit into a lot of decks as kind of a slightly weaker Dragoon, but a lot more consistent and a lot more splashable in other strategies, and there's no reason to think it won't do the same in the TCG. Now firstly, as I said, it has really good synergy in the Sword Soul archetype because of Ecclesia, as you're going to be able to continually use this effect, add your Ecclesia to your hand and bring this card back, giving you a really strong advantage game. However, another deck that can really effectively use this card is Sky Strikers. Sky Strikers don't like having monsters in the main monster zone, as that prevents them from activating their spells. Using this card, you can get a free destruction on your opponent's turn and then free up your main monster zone so you can continue using your spells to disrupt them as well. Another great thing about this card is that if you use Destiny Hero Celestial as a fusion material, the turn after you can banish that from the graveyard to draw 2 cards, which is just amazing, essentially giving you a free pot of greed on top of this recursive boss monster. So yeah, Destroy Hero Phoenix Enforcer is going to be a really effective card, and you really want to pick up that card and the supplementary hero cards to summon it if you haven't already. Next up, we have Evil Twins Trouble Sunny. So this card's effect reads, you can tribute this card, special summon from your graveyard up to 1 Kiss a Kill and Lilla monster each. You can banish this card from your graveyard, then send 1 Evil Twin monster from your hand, deck, or face up field to the graveyard. Send 1 card on the field to the graveyard. You can only use each effect once per turn. So Live Twins have been a really interesting archetype, and if you guys saw my meta tier list, I definitely put them quite high because they do have a lot of potential, but at the moment they really lack an effective boss monster to take advantage of the link spam they can do. Well, now they've got that amazing link full boss monster, and this is a really good card that you're definitely going to be wanting to have 2 or 3 depending on your Live Twin build. This gives the deck really effective non-targeting, non-destructive removal, which is one of the biggest weaknesses of the deck at the moment. In addition to that, it's got a pretty big body naturally of 3300 attack, and it's super easy to summon, as we know, because the Live Twins basically summon each other whenever they get summoned to the field. Live Twins have already been climbing in price, so if I was you and I haven't already bought my Live Twins, I probably would hold off on buying them. However, I would definitely pick up at least 1 copy of Evil Twins Trouble Sunny because it's guaranteed to raise in price, and potentially if the Live Twins are reprinted later on, it's going to be a really good card for the archetype that you definitely want to have, like I said, 2 to 3 copies of. Next up, we have King of the Sky Prison. This card's effect reads, During your main phase, you can reveal this card in your hand until the end of your opponent's turn. And if you do, while this card is revealed by this effect, set cards on the field cannot be destroyed by card effects. If a set, spell or trap card is activated, you can special summon this card from your hand. Then, if this effect was activated while the card was revealed in the hand, you can set one spell or trap directly from your deck to your field, but banish it during the end phase of the next turn. You can only use one King of the Sky Prison effect per turn, and only once per turn. So this card is super great for back row decks, but to be honest, not even just back row decks. If your deck just happens to run a lot of traps, this is going to be a really effective card to run. The OCG have single-handedly changed how they deal with back row just due to this card. Most lists are running Evenly Matched and Cosmic Cyclone because this essentially removes the risk of cards like Twin Twisters for your Altergeist strategies or your Subterra strategies. What's even nicer is it also provides you with a pretty big body. That's usually going to be a pretty big weakness of a back row deck. They're going to struggle to push for game, or you're getting a 3000 beta on the field on top of your back row being protected, and also it's going to be setting cards from the deck. Now, you can't use all of the effects in the same turn, but that doesn't really matter because most of the effects are going to be situations where you're using one on your turn and one on your opponent's turn, because this card isn't dying anytime quickly with its big ass body. King of the Sky Prison is really awesome. I definitely think it's going to shake up the meta a lot, and you definitely want to pick up a copy of this card because it's going to have a huge effect on how we play the game going forward. And the last card is going to be Small World. So Small World's card text reads, reveal one monster in your hand and reveal one monster in your deck with its same type, attribute, level, attack or defense. Only exactly one of these. Banish that first revealed monster face down, then add to your hand one monster from your deck with the same type, attribute, level, attack or defense. Only exactly one of these as that second revealed monster. If you do, banish that second revealed monster face down. You can only activate one Small World per turn. Small World is a really interesting card, and it seems to be a slightly different philosophy that Konami have now in terms of how they're going to approach support cards for decks. Now, I'm going to have a longer video explaining some of the potential Small World and exactly how you can use it, but just for this, a short example. In Virtual World, for example, you can use one of your hand traps, say Ash Blossom, to search pretty much any of your level 3 Virtual Worlds in the deck. Now, I'm a really big fan of Small World, and I think it's going to really encourage creative deck building. There's definitely potential for this card to get broken, but in spite of that, I really like this direction of essentially giving players the ability to flex their creative muscles and use cards that they otherwise wouldn't use in their decks in ways that they wouldn't have initially thought of. In the OCG, this card has seen a bit of play. It is interesting to see how it's going to affect us here in the TCG though. We tend to have slightly different deck building philosophies, and so maybe people won't be willing to throw away a hand trap, for example, for this card. On the other hand, we do highly value consistency here, and especially not having Max C means that anything we can do to thin our deck and get important starter cards to our hand tends to be what we want to do. So in that respect, we might see a lot of Small World being used. Only time will tell, but one thing is for sure, this is definitely going to be a valuable card at some point. You definitely want to pick this up, just like the other cards in the video. Oh, one last thing, before I forget, Flunderies guys. Of course you want to pick them up. They are almost certainly going to be, at the very least, a strong anti-meta deck, but chances are they're going to have a really big impression and potentially be a tier 2 deck in the meta, maybe even tier 1, we'll see how it goes. So yeah, Flunderies and Sword Soul as wholes, you definitely want to pick up both of those decks. So thank you all for watching. I've got some pretty awesome profiles and more content coming on my channel this week. I'm actually on holiday from work, which is nice, so I'm gonna have a lot more time to play Yu-Gi-Oh and edit videos. So yeah, stay tuned, subscribe if you aren't already, and I'll talk to you all later. Peace.